Super Lesbian Animal RPG is in essence the encapsulation of what it means to be young, stupid, and part of the LGBTQ community. The game, at first glance, seems like a very cutesy and simple RPG Maker game. Still, after going into its depths, we slowly begin to realize that it's an emotional and heartfelt experience featuring 4 titular characters going through personal and emotional growth as their world is put into serious turmoil. The main character is Melody, a 22-year-old trans fox girl who has only recently started a relationship with one of her lifelong friends and new rabbit girlfriend, Allison. She strives to be a healer/paladin for her newly formed guild. Allison is a pink bunny girl who dreams of adventure, whereas Melody is unsure yet knows that her best place is to be besides the one that she loves. The other 2 primary cast members are Jody, a strong tiger knight, and Claire, a chaotic trans guild leader cowgirl who is not afraid to use forbidden magic to achieve any goal that she sets out on. The game is also filled with a lovely assortment of other cute characters, including, but not limited to, a balloon man, a suspiciously thick robot, a unicorn, and so many more. While these characters may seem disjointed, they all get along in a lovely and in a surprisingly charming way. The plot of the game features the 4 titular main characters striving to become strong and rich adventurers, only for things to suddenly become very weird. During the early stages of the game, it is a rather rudimentary RPG experience. That is until a section known as the Basement Dungeon, where the game first begins to show its comedic prowess with a parody of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The game is your typical RPG with all of the mechanics you come to expect from this kind of a formula. Gold acquiring, monster killing, potion buying, gear equipment, etc. But there are some extra surprises thrown in there, such as the lovely kissing mechanic, because who doesn't want to have a little bit of a makeout session in the middle of a battle? Also, a pro tip, I recommend checking out the fortune teller's building once it does open, which, trust me, it will open up. It's worth your time, I guarantee it. The game also comes with its own unique spellbook system, which are sets of items you can find and buy. These spellbooks can change how characters perform in the overall game, such as new spells, abilities, etc. that can completely overhaul how they perform, as well as change the tide of battle in an instant. I personally recommend the Magical Girl one. The game also has its fair share of little unique quirks that help it stand apart from other RPGs that I've played. One of these quirks would have to be a positional-based attack system, that being that some characters and abilities will attack specific parts of enemies' bodies, allowing you to deal more damage or cause a unique effect to occur that might not occur otherwise. Also, there's little character quirks, like how some of the characters won't wear specific items. Initially, I assumed that this was because of class or level restrictions, but I came to learn it was purely because the characters just didn't want to wear certain things, and honestly, power to you. One of these unique and fun little character quirks is Claire's quirk, where she will not wear a hat that is not her signature wizard hat. Now, there are ways in the game where you can amend and change this, but personally in my playthrough, I didn't feel the need to, because by God girl, you rock that fucking hat. Another aspect of every game that's worth looking at would have to be the settings. Let's see, in Super Lesbian Animal RPG, you've got all the normal stuff here, volume sliders, movement speed, text speed. Yeah, those check out. Oh, there's also an art toggle. Understandable. Oh yeah, and lastly, there's a political slider and a ludonarrative dissonance slider. Wait, what? Truth be told, I'm not sure if anything actually happens if you change these sliders at all. Who knows, maybe the characters speak in binary after a certain point. But I will say, when I saw these for the first time, I was almost dying of laughter. These sliders are definitely a jest at video games, which people complain about for having too many politics. I, for one, think this is the perfect level of politics in games. Keep it up, Ponat. The game is full of other bouts of comedic flair, well-timed jokes, puns, and references galore. It's clear the characters are no strangers to cracking jokes. But despite the relevance of humor, it doesn't take away from the grave and emotional tone of the entire story. The character's design is equally chaotic, with all sorts of adorable creatures and crazy designs. Some of my favorites include a JoJo posing suit, a living frog ball, and a dog that wears pants. I know. It creates a balance of highs and lows to make for an amazing story experience through and through. The game also has tons of adorable character designs. I mean, look at these cuties. Thankfully, they haven't been corrupted by the internet yet or anything. Right? Some other characters that add to that charm are Mr. Leon, a big fat black cat who is an ex-supervillain that happens to live in the town. He is also trying to teach his granddaughter villainy. Don't worry though, I'm pretty sure he's harmless. Then there's Beverly, a sweet pig who's the cute co-owner of the local restaurant, Higgledy Piggledy's, and probably one of the most chipper characters in the game. Next up, there's Chet, the adorable yet very bulked up receptionist at the Guardian's Tower, who never ceases their typing or report filing, and trust me, they'll tell you all about it. Next up, there's the two amazing shopkeepers, Joy and Sherry, a bat and a ferret respectfully. These two probably don't have the qualifications or licenses to be selling such deadly items, but hey, one of them is a ferret, and I'm a ferret, so I didn't see anything. Next up, there's the cute, small Mona, who is the librarian of the town. She is a bit monster obsessed though, and will pretty much do anything in her power to keep the library in order. Though, deep down I have to wonder, what is her internet search history like? Oh well. The town of Greenridge is the lovely little spot that the game actually initially takes place in. It also serves as the home for all of our 4 main cast members, as well as every single side character I've mentioned so far. It's a quaint little area, though initial impressions would make you only think that there's about 50 people that live here, but I believe in dialogue the game actually does specifically reference that there being almost 1,000 to 2,000 people that live in Greenridge as a whole. So it would be interesting to see a massive map of the area at some point, but regardless, it's got a nice, quaint little theme song, and it's adorable how the flowers just bounce around as you're walking. It gives it a very chipper and peaceful vibe, which is definitely contrasted by some of the stuff that can happen later on in the game, I will admit. But all technical and analytical mumbo-jumbo aside, the plot and the characters is definitely the main draw to playing this game. I mean, the name alone is a joke, right? And you would be right to make that assumption. I mean, hell, it kind of is a joke. The title, in actuality, is describing the game in a very literal sense, that being a bunch of super lesbians who are featured in an RPG game. The game itself is a spiritual successor to a parody-style game called Super Lesbian Horse RPG, made by the same creator, Ponat, who is quoted as describing Super Lesbian Horse RPG as...
So, Super Lesbian Horse RPG was my first game in 2013. I started working on it immediately after downloading RPG Maker on a whim. At the time, I was primarily making My Little Pony fan content, particularly shipping stuff, so I defaulted to grabbing some My Little Pony sprites and just making a jokey little stream of consciousness RPG parody with them. It was initially supposed to be a playground of absurd jokes and pop culture references and really not much else. Basically a playable shitpost inspired largely by Splendid Land's Mega Man Sprite game. But over the course of 2013, it grew into something larger, more sincere, and honestly less directly related to My Little Pony. I also got music and enemy submissions from a bunch of people on Tumblr, including both close friends and people who just wanted to help out. And in the end, I was pretty proud of it for a first game. And then I got a cease and desist from Hasbro.
So then, why would you want to play this game? Because despite the humor and the jokey references, the game is itself outstanding at making you feel things, like, really feel things. Maybe I'm just speaking about this from the standpoint of being a dumb trans girl who also happens to be 22, but the game just kind of speaks on a different level. There's a certain relatability in the sad intonations of the characters or the lack of self-fulfillment present. The game seems so outwardly happy, but there's a much more in-depth character dissection going on, and it's relatable. Melody, for example, initially only wants to adventure because of her girlfriend. But as the story progresses, she slowly begins to feel more and more like she's worth something on her own. It's through this that she's able to grow as a person. I point out that each of these characters is relatable on some fundamental level. It's not often that a game evokes feelings in me, as I'm generally a pretty stoic gal, but there's something about seeing yourself in the shoes of these gals that really pulls the raw emotions out of you. Melody with her relationship insecurities, Allison with her overbearing feelings, Claire with her obsession with not being a burden, and Jody carrying the weight of too much responsibility, as well as juggling a relationship. And for the first time, I can thoroughly say that this is one of the few games, especially in 2022, that has broken me to this level. I'm going a little bit off script here, but I don't think I've had a game that's made me sit for 3 hours with a glass of wine and some cheese and just cry over the ending. I'm not going to spoil it here, but in a way, it really just made me feel something. And I think that in itself should be telling of the kind of experience this game will provide for you. Let's cut back a little bit. I know that my audience is primarily in the furry demographic, but there's something to be said about the projection of oneself onto furry characters. Historically, humans have been doing this for hundreds of years, and it makes sense why it's so easy to do with the cast of Super Lesbian Animal RPG. As, in a sense, the cast is a furry and fuzzy LGBT representative group of characters in playable forms. This is relevant as it helps us to create a bond with these characters on a much deeper level. So this brings me to the primary question of why should you play the game? Well, truth be told, if you made it this far into the video, I feel like you probably have already found a reason. But in the very rare case that you haven't, well, just take a moment, close your eyes, and ask yourself, did you enjoy the music playing in the background of the video? Because if you did, then oh boy, you're gonna have a field day with this game. Throughout the video, I've been playing a bevy of the game's soundtracks in the background. And let me tell you, a lot of these songs are absolute bangers. The soundtrack was composed by Beatrix Quinn and features over 80 tracks. Some of my personal favorites in the soundtrack include Allison's theme, which is a song that evokes punk vibes, perfectly fitting Allison's character in battle. Full of Machinations, which is a song that has a happy, quirky vibe, and also happens to be that of a magic shop. And finally, Dark Magic Constructs, which draws inspiration from Pokemon battle music of old. A very nice and subtle touch that you notice just at the very beginning. I would have included a link to the full soundtrack, but I haven't been able to find anything aside from a demo reel on YouTube, as of the recording of this video. Step over, Toby Fox. There's a new hit video game composer in town. Okay, so I'm not going to say that this is the next Undertale, or even that it's better than Undertale, because at the end of the day, it's not. I mean, MatPat hasn't even given the game to the Pope yet, so like, it can't be that good, right? But in all seriousness, comparing this game to Undertale would be doing it a massive disservice. While both are explorative and imaginative roleplay experiences, they're meant for vastly different audiences and should be treated as such. In conclusion, those are my thoughts on Super Lesbian Animal RPG. I'd say give the game a try. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Or hey, maybe you will be, in which case, might I say that you